Support for your public radio station comes from our members and from the Highlands at Pittsford, an independent and assisted living community affiliated with the University of Rochester, offering cottage and apartment homes, daily life enrichment activities, and care assistance as needed. More at highlandsatpittsford.org.
From WXXI News, this is Connections. I'm Evan Dawson. Our connection this hour was made in a smaller town where an unlikely political alliance has formed. A longtime Republican, a Trump supporter, running alongside two longtime Democrats who are decidedly not Trump supporters, and yet the three of them see one another as people first, not purely political creatures, people who want what is best in their town. Tim Schiefen is the Republican in the story. He's an auto mechanic. He's been on the show in the past to discuss some of the issues related to his support for President Trump. Tim was interested in running for West Bloomfield town supervisor, but Republicans in town essentially told him, don't bother. We've already got our candidate. Meanwhile, Birgit Coffey and Julie Evely are two Democrats who had watched their own party essentially vanish in their small town. This year, they set out to revive it, and months ago, they held a forum for possible town government candidates. Tim, shut out by his own party, decided to reach out. This being a small town, they knew one another. Tim has been Julie's go-to car mechanic for years. Tim was her son's Cub Scout leader. Maybe she wondered how this guy could be a Trump supporter. Maybe he wondered, how could she be a Democrat? But she also knew she kind of liked him as a person, and he felt the same way. And a funny thing happens when you get past social media and screens and get to know someone in real life. And so these three people, one Republican, two Democrats, are working together to get elected. I suspect they never thought they would be doing something like this. In 2025, it feels almost impossible. But I think it also illustrates that local politics is not national politics, and we do need to get to know one another. So in studio, we have a Republican who is running as a Democrat for West Bloomfield Town Supervisor, and we have two Democrats running for the Town Council, and they are doing this together. And Tim, this is your fifth appearance, did you say?
Five-timer.
5 times on Connections.
I'm looking for the blazer.
I've got nothing for you, man. We should have like a blazer or something. Maybe Julie Williams, like by the end of the hour, like some swag maybe? I bet you that some swag can come up here.
Terrific.
Now, Julie Evely, I think we need some swag for the first-timers as well.
Well, I wouldn't refuse it, that's for sure.
Welcome to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. And Birgit Coffey, candidate for West Bloomfield Town Council as well. Thank you for making time
Thanks
for
for
us.
having us.
And so a little bit of background on the candidates. I mentioned Tim is an auto mechanic, and you still run cars, right?
That's correct.
In Bloomfield, West Bloomfield?
West Bloomfield.
In West Bloomfield. Birgit is, well, you've been teaching for a while.
Yeah, former high school teacher, currently employed at RIT for the last 21 years. I teach introductory statistics classes.
Oh, a little bit of math here. I was promised there'd be no math. There might be some math. We'll see. And Julie, what about you?
I'm a clinical social worker, and I have a private practice in West Bloomfield, and I've been at it for about 25 years.
When did you first meet Tim?
I first met Tim probably when my son was the Cub Scout age. My husband was probably handling the cars more back then as I was with the kids, but yeah, I've known Tim a really long time.
And Julie, give that mic even closer to you. That's good.
Okay.
So
Yep.
and he's been your go-to auto mechanic as well?
Yes.
Okay. Never
Yes.
screwed up your car?
No.
Okay.
No.
That's good.
Great mechanic.
Look at him. He's crossing his fingers. No. Tim's probably like everybody's go-to mechanic down there. Like that's how it is in small towns. You get to know people. Tim's a talker, as you
Yep.
know, right?
Yep.
He's very gregarious.
Yeah.
He sends me really eloquent and thoughtful emails, which is probably no surprise to you, which is why I didn't realize it's been 5 times now, but I love having Tim on the program. It's good to talk to people no matter where you are. And it sounds to me like even though you're a Democrat, you have some affection for Tim personally.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yep. We enjoy our conversations and we've shared a lot.
Did you ever say to him, like, how could you be a Trump supporter? Did you ever say that? Tim's
I,
nodding.
I definitely told him that the West Bloomfield Democrats have some concerns about Donald Trump.
Well, this is not about Donald Trump this hour. But
No.
When do you remember meeting Julie, Tim?
Probably that first PAC meeting where she showed up with her son Christian, and it's about fun. It's about the kids. It's about enjoying our time together, and that's really the reason behind the community interaction is. It's just that.
And you, your 2 kids are grown now.
That's correct.
Do you miss Scout leadership?
No, I'm still a scout
You're
leader.
still doing it?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I didn't know that.
I'm the committee chairman, and I recently was awarded the Silver Beaver Award, which is a national award. I don't interact as much as I used to, but I'm that backup guy. I'm that voice in the back of the room that reminds them things, and I'm the safety net. I'm the guy that makes sure they got everything in order and the kids have what they need.
How long have you been running your business?
27 years.
Okay. And that's one of the things Tim and I've talked about is just the challenge of being a small business owner in New York State, in this country. So we've had a lot to talk about, but this is a decidedly different conversation. And I don't think Burgett Coffee has had the same length of relationship. When did you first meet Tim?
I met Tim when he showed up at the West Bloomfield Democratic. It wasn't even a committee yet.
No.
It was just interested residents.
This year?
This year. I met Tim probably in March when he asked, could he come to one of our planning meetings? See, Julie arranged planning meetings knowing that there were 2 board openings and a supervisor opening coming up and an inactive West Bloomfield Democratic Committee. And she is the one who spearheaded bringing us together. Tim asked to meet us. That's the first time I met him, just speaking to us, telling us he would like to run for supervisor, but he has been shut out from running on the Republican line as a lifelong Republican.
So are there Democrats in your town who've said to you, look, Tim may be a nice guy, but why are we running a Trump supporter?
Yes.
Okay. And what do you say?
Yes. We don't have an alternative supervisor candidate who wants to run. And really, our common ground event that we held was to find one. So we sent a mailing funded all by interested Democrats to every resident to say, can we interest you in learning about town government? And maybe someone would step up. And unfortunately, nobody stepped up. Julie and I then stepped up for the open board positions, and then we had to think long and hard about not to run someone on the Democratic line for supervisor, because Tim would be on the common sense line.
That's a party he created.
A party he created.
Yep.
So he'd already be on the ballot. Does he also need to be on the Democratic line? We had to really think long and hard. But in the end, it's not up to us. It's up to the Democratic caucus.
And do you feel good about the decision?
Yes, I feel very good about the decision because we gave the opportunity for every Democrat, registered Democrat in West Bloomfield, to make that decision. Tim was nominated by a local Democrat, his daughter. And so...
Whoa, I'm sorry, your daughter is a Democrat?
Yep, true and blue.
Does it kill you?
No, it doesn't.
Good for you, Tim.
And her and I are so much alike, it would blow your mind.
I'm not surprised. But what a lovely story. Okay, so Tim gets nominated by a Democrat, but ultimately in your conversations, set aside process, just personally, are you good with Tim on this line?
Absolutely. And it's because Tim has given me the opportunity to ask hard questions and to get those questions answered to my satisfaction. And the idea is that what is good for the town might be different than what's good if I was discussing national politics or bigger issues. And what's good for the town is somebody with a lifelong interest in our town and just his level of connection to the kids from Cub Scouts and from his business. These are connections I don't have. I've lived in this town for 27, 28 years, just like Julie. Yeah. But I don't have a customer service facing position like Tim. So I don't have the connections he does. And boy, what I hear, it just reassures me that this is a candidate who could lead this town well. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. The really almost intractable national issues, the cultural issues, the political issues, are so much less in play in small town politics. What is something that you look at and say, this is what our town needs, and I think Tim would be very good at this in government?
What our town needs is a way to bring us together as a community. Tim already knows how to do that. See, Tim has a lot of experience he should talk about in the town of Mendon as well. So your experience with finding grants for projects that are of your interest. But not just that, we have to be forward-facing for the comprehensive plan in the future. So I see us as not just establishing, status quo, how it's been, but really guiding the direction of our town in the future. And I think you have the leadership to be able to do that.
Julie, you endorse that idea?
I do. I mean, I think talking with him, he's a passionate person, and he's someone who I've attended other town meetings with him because he is affiliated with the town of Mendon and showing how other towns work, and he's been around the whole political and development kind of thing for towns in our area. And it's been very impressive to see and just listen to him talk about what his vision is for certain things. So I definitely have overcome, my reservations or people who've spoken to me and said, what are the Democrats doing? I don't think the Republicans would do this for a Democrat. And so having to answer to them and say, well, these were things that we thought hard about and made the decision to embrace the three of us running together.
And, separate from that question is the way that we see each other as people. And so you have gotten to know Tim over several decades. And there probably was a time in the last decade in American politics where it went from, I maybe had a Romney sign, or maybe you had a McCain sign, or maybe you had an Obama sign, to I can't believe you're not MAGA, or I can't believe you are MAGA, and I can't believe that we're neighbors. And the way that people have been divided, I'm not saying everyone, and certainly not everywhere, but there hasn't been a moment where you've looked at him and didn't see a human being. And that's what I see in this conversation.
Yes.
You see someone who you would trust with your children, and have, right?
Yes.
However he votes.
Yes.
And I don't want to lose that as a country. I don't want to lose the idea that we can be neighbors, that I can bake you Christmas cookies and you can help rake the leaves, and even if we voted differently. And I do think you're modeling that. I mean, does that cross your mind?
It does. I think I have great memories of Tim with the Boy Scouts have their race. What's it called? The
Pinewood Derby.
The Pinewood Derby,
yeah.
and just the joy that my son had in working with him, and he brings joy to kids, and he's raised a lot of kids in our community, or helped be that role model, and I've seen that, and definitely like knowing. There have been moments where seeing a Trump sign and thinking, I don't know how to connect with that, but I do know how to connect with Tim.
And so, Tim, I'm going to make you say some nice things about Democrats, unless you don't have anything nice to say. But you're on a slate with two Democrats. They're running for the town board. You're running for supervisor. Why do you think they would be good candidates for the town board?
Oh, you've heard it. They're sensible, they're intelligent, they're articulate, they're kind, and those are those same traits that I hope I embody. And we're neighbors and we're community members first. Everything else is secondary. It's about us working together. It's about a difference of opinions that is healthy. I've said this before. I don't learn anything when I'm in a room with like-minded individuals, but I learn volumes when I'm in a room with someone that has a different opinion than mine. And they bring things that I might not think about. They toss out comments and ideas that I may never consider. And if I didn't have that, I'd be at a loss. So no, it's fantastic. These are two wonderful ladies. They're very considerate to me. It started with a conversation with members of the Democratic Committee. I called Julie and talked to her for 10 or 15 minutes. I called several other members, talked to them for several minutes, felt them out about their ideas. And then after 2 or 3 meetings, we had the caucus, and 16 out of 21 voters said, hey, you're in. So, there's some out there that are going to probably say, oh, God, a Trump voting Republican. Oh, I can never bring myself to vote for him. But, that I hope they put that aside, and I hope they listen to what I initially said. Please judge me by what I've done in this community for the past 25 years. Don't judge me because I stood up in front of you and said, yeah, I voted for Donald Trump. Judge me because I'm a member of the Historical Society. I've been a scout leader. I've mentored youth. I'm an employer. I've helped people in our community. I'm the guy that shows up Memorial Day. I organize parades. That's what makes a community a place worth living in. That's what I want, and I think that's what everybody else likes too.
I don't want to get mired too much in national politics, but I do want to ask you one thing related to that. The president that you voted for does speak generally, not specifically, but in general terms, about the political left in really tough ways. And you don't. You have not followed that path. You have seen your Democratic neighbors as just neighbors, or people you would even run on a slate with. Why do you think you have not followed that example?
Oh boy, you're throwing a tough one at me. We've talked about this. We're at home. This is where we live. I got to see you at the grocery store. I'm not going to label you.
I might bring my car to your auto shop.
I could care less what color your bumper sticker is, okay? We're friends first, and that relationship that you create with a person in business is critical, and that's what business is about. It's about relationships. And I'll be honest, that's what local politics should be about. It should be about relationships. It should be my ability to listen, my ability to consider, my ability to give some good advice. And there's going to come a point, if we're successful, one of us is going to have to go to bat for somebody that's on the other side of the boardroom table, and maybe we don't share the same political affiliation. Should that matter? If it's an issue that is important, if it's an issue that deserves some consideration, that should be the foremost thing right then and there in the room.
Let me grab a quick phone call from, I'm not surprised to hear Meredith Stockman calling, from Fairport, from Parrington, an elected official there. Hello, Meredith. This is a conversation I kind of wanted to have with you for a number of years. It's nice to hear you on the phone.
Hey, nice to hear you too. I just want to say I'm so impressed with everyone who's on the show today, and I agree with you 100%. I think at the local level, it shouldn't be about national questions. It should be questions like, how do you feel about the rate of development in your town? How do you feel about preserving open space and green space? Where would you prioritize putting sidewalks? Questions like that, and finding people who agree with you on those questions, because that's what local government really is about. It's not about, or shouldn't be about, some of these bigger national issues. So I'm really impressed with all of you. Great job. Can
I just ask you a quick follow-up, Meredith?
Yeah.
So tell listeners a little bit about your own sort of electoral history briefly.
Where to start? Well, we could jump to the finish. When I was elected in 2019, I was the first person in my party to be elected in Parrington in 101 years. And so it was kind of a bit different, and trying to figure out, how do we deal with someone and how do we work together as parties on the town board? And we've been able to accomplish a lot of really good things. There have been some roadblocks along the way, but it's definitely been a learning experience. And I was kind of hesitant to get into politics because it can be so divisive. But someone kind of gave me some really good advice that helped me have the courage to get involved, and was saying, you know what, try and think of what can you affect at your level of government, and think about those things. So if I can change it with legislation at my level of government, that's what I'm going to try and focus on. And I feel like it's been really good to help dial down the tension and also build a lot of bridges across the community, because I don't even know what party people are in. But when I talk about, let's put a skate park in Parrington, it really, there's a lot of people who are interested in that. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it definitely does. And the last thing I wanted to ask you is, similar, I do want to hear our guests in studio tell us that if they win, are we going to be sitting here in a year, in 2 years, and they're going to go, I can't believe we ever worked together. We pulled each other's hair out, and it all collapsed. Or do you feel like the local level does? It sounds to me, Meredith, like you think the local level, you can insulate a little bit from that. I am curious to know if you have had interactions in local government that have almost forced you to make it about national politics, whether it's people in your own party, the Democratic Party, telling you that you shouldn't be working with Republicans, or whether it's Republicans who are, challenging you as someone in the political minority, for not being on that team. Has that come up at all?
Oh, gosh. Well, I don't want to speak for anybody else, but I can say for me, and I feel like my local party, we try and keep it really local and focus on Parrington and what we can do in Parrington, what we can change in Parrington. And I've had such a great time working with other Republicans. Alex Winter was on the board with me for a long time, and I so enjoyed getting to know her, working with her, and voting alongside her many times, making decisions that we thought were best for the town, even though technically we were different parties. We were agreeing on what we thought was best for Parrington. So it's been a really neat experience to realize that.
Well, I appreciate the call. Let's talk on a separate day. I'd love to hear more about, and maybe some of your colleagues as well.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Meredith. I appreciate the phone call. No, that literally on my huge board in the office, Meredith's name's there, and I'm not surprised that she called the program today because sometimes even here at Connections, we get too bogged down in national stories or things far afield, and these stories I think get us back to the brick by brick work of building communities, of actual neighborhoods, of towns. So I'll go around the table, and Birgit Coffey, who's a candidate for West Bloomfield Town Council, one of the two Democrats in the room, are you worried that national politics will sort of get in the way if you get elected, or do you think you can keep it local the way Meredith's talking?
I think we can keep it local. I'm not worried about myself keeping it local because I have a good perspective on that. But I do believe the rest of the town board will also benefit from, great leadership if Tim is elected, and it'll set a tone where we can keep it separate. That is my hope. I do believe some national politics have the potential of infiltrating our town. And that comes from discussions that had come from the Republican committee in Ontario County, where there is some interest in keeping immigrants from moving into the town. And I believe that is coming from national politics. And so there is potential. There is discussion of how that is making its way into Ontario County, possibly with laws or even states of emergency that have been encouraged to be implemented, have not yet, but encouraged to be implemented. So there is potential.
Okay. Tim Schiefen's the Republican in the room, is running for West Bloomfield supervisor. Can you keep politics local? You worry about national politics getting in the way of the work that you want to do?
No, I don't worry about the national level. Anybody that knows me knows I don't force my politics on anyone. And back to what we said before, this is about the town of West Bloomfield. We're ripe for development. We're on the cusp of a population explosion because, let's face it, if people come out from the center of the metropolitan area here in Rochester, these suburbs are getting filled up faster and faster. Our town is adjacent to one of the most affluent towns in the county, Mendon. And if you look at some of the buildings and structures that are coming into our community or on the boundary of our community, we're talking $1 million homes. So, where do you go next? You follow the pipes. You head further out of the metropolis. And with COVID, that was a desire for many. They wanted out of the urban areas. They wanted to be out in the suburban areas. And here we are in one of the most rural areas that boundaries Monroe County. And we need to be prepared for that. And that's going to take local consideration, working together, members of our community coming together, speaking their minds. We need a friendly, welcoming environment to be productive and to revamp our comprehensive plans.
And before I turn to Julie on the same question, let me just ask you to kind of weigh in on some of what. So Birgit is talking about an issue that I'm not hearing from Birgit Coffey a feeling like, well, if something like immigration becomes local, it'll break us down. I mean, I do suspect the people in this room feel like we will probably disagree on some things, but that is the nature of it. We can do it. Are there issues that come from the national sort of level that you think could filter in? Is there anything that stands out to you?
No, not when it comes to the nuts and bolts. Now you want to talk about attitudes? Yeah, we need to be kind to one another. We need to be considerate to everyone. We need to think about quality items.
Man, from your lips, I really hope so.
I hope so too, and that's what the three of us are going to work towards. I hate to be corny. We need a kinder, gentler atmosphere. We need some consideration. We need to put down those national stereotypes and boxes that everybody's being shoved into. And we need to remember we're friends first, we're community members second, and we got a job to do.
All right, same question here, Julie Evely, who's a candidate as a Democrat for the West Bloomfield Town Council. Is it your belief that local politics can supersede some of the division that could come if national politics starts to inflict?
I do believe that. I mean, I think probably people have heard this saying, but, there's not a Democratic or a Republican way to plow the roads or, put the sidewalks in or that kind of thing. So I really think that the three of us have an energy and a commitment to the same values around, having an open open town meetings, encouraging people to come and talk to us, being present to what we hear in our community. One thing I did say to Tim in terms of, the only thing I want to ask you really is if I'm out there protesting something that I don't like on a national level, and there is some kind of backlash for me, because I fear that sometimes, do you have my back? Does our town?
Tim says yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does our town have my back?
Okay.
So that's really, the only place it's kind of come up in that way.
A whole separate conversation. You're going to get a sixth appearance. You know why? A whole separate conversation is, I think of you as just a small C conservative, mostly. In our conversations and emails, I think you're a lot like my dad, a lot like a Paul Ryan conservative. And I don't see a ton of small C conservatism on the national level in the Republican Party these days. I see the party moving away from where I have known you to be. That's a whole other thing, though. Let's talk about that on a different day. That's not for now. I do want to ask you briefly about your daughter.
Sure.
Your daughter's a Democrat who nominated you for
She
this.
did,
So
very eloquently.
So that obviously means that you get along well. You got a great relationship with her?
I have a great relationship with both my children. It's an interesting dynamics. My son is more like my wife, California-minded, a little live for today. My daughter is a little more...
Don't get yourself in trouble.
Oh, no, she's put up with me for 36 years. I probably survived this, and I'm sure she's listening. My daughter, she's a little conservative as a Democrat. She's a go-getter. She knows what she wants. She charges ahead. She's amazing, and I can't argue with her because it's like arguing with myself.
But you're kind of easy to argue with because you actually like long-form discussion.
Oh, I immerse myself in that. As I said, I learn a lot. I like engaging people. I've said this a few times. Everything starts with a conversation.
Listeners probably don't even know that Tim is like a pretty frequent and one of my favorite emailers. That's the truth. I'm so tired of like the maligning public radio is like, well, it's only this thing or you don't get. I mean, like if there was 100 more Tims, there'd been 100 more people on the talk show in the last 5 years.
I'm two-finger typing while you're talking on the radio, hoping you get it in time.
I'm worried that you're not like working enough. I'm like, aren't you doing an oil change, man? Check the oil pan. Let me see here. Let me grab Bob Bunn. Bob is on the line. Hey, Bob. Nice to hear you back here. Go ahead, Bob.
Hi, Evan. I would recommend that everyone read Gary Craig's obituary of Lucian Moran, former county manager and county executive in Monroe County. And it ties in many ways. I can speak to it knowing Lou, but also having worked for Tom Fry, who's a Democrat, who happened to run against Lou. But Lucian Moran is a model. And one other thing, there are times locally when local officials may need to or find appropriate to make reference to national positions or practices that relate to a town or village or city. But anyway, most importantly, check out Gary's obituary of Lou Moran and make Lou contagious for everyone. I guess that's all I want to say.
Well, thank you, Bob. It's a great reference there. Yeah, listeners telling us that the Moran-Ryan tax plan was an example of collaboration similar to what we're learning about today. It's not impossible. Like I fundamentally reject the idea that we are too far gone as a society to be in the same room together if you vote differently, or that you have to be immediately suspicious of someone and they can't be a good neighbor. They can't even be a good governor. They can't even be good in government. I fundamentally reject that. I just, probably because pragmatically we have to reject it if we're going to survive, but also because I just don't think it's true. I think we just need to touch grass more and spend more time with people and in real life. And when Bob is talking about Moran-Ryan, that was before the age of everyone's online, everyone has a handle, Everyone is angry at people all the time. That is not what our guests are modeling. And when we come back, I do want to ask them one other thing that hasn't come up yet. I do want to ask our guests if they're willing to share it, a little bit of the strange circumstances in their town that led to this alliance, these strange political bedfellows, if they're willing to share it. And, that's up to them. But what we have in studio is two Democrats, one Republican running on a slate together. I even have the magnet here. I didn't know if I was going to get one. You guys are really official. You've got magnets. And it's Tim Schiefen, a Republican running for West Bloomfield Town Supervisor. Birgit Coffey and Julie Evely are candidates for West Bloomfield Town Council. They are Democrats, and they are working together. Still possible in 2025. Let's come back and continue the conversation on Connections.
Public radio brings you the kind of enlightened discussions that keep you informed. We rely on listeners like you to help pay for this kind of programming. And when you become a sustaining member of WXXI, your monthly gift helps keep this vital service strong for the whole community. Please make your gift at WXXI.org.
This is Connections. I'm Evan Dawson. A couple of really nice emails from listeners who just really appreciate what they are hearing in this conversation. And it makes me wonder if you're listening today to the story of a small town, West Bloomfield. What's the population of West Bloomfield, by the way, guys? I'm going to ask the math person.
2,740.
It's a certifiable small town. It's in the rural category, yes?
Yes. As rural as they get.
There you go. So it's a rural small town, and you've got Democrats and Republicans running together on a slate. And in a moment, they may tell you a little bit more about the circumstances that help lead to that. But here they are. And so listeners, wherever you live, whether it's in the city of Rochester or whether you're in Penn Yan, whether you're in Geneva, whether you're anywhere, do you see this? Do you see any capacity for people like this to kind of cross political boundaries? And if you do, I'd love to hear about it. You can email the program connections@wxxi.org, or you can call the program toll-free, 844-295-TALK. It's 844-295-8255. 263-WXXI if you're in Rochester, 263-9994. Maybe you think I'm too Pollyanna as the host of this program. I maybe so. But last Friday, we talked in a very raw and open way about the pain that a lot of people are feeling. I don't want to over-ascribe political violence to any one party or movement. I want to say this, though. If we are blithe about that, it can get way worse. Don't deceive yourself and think, this is the worst it could be. Absolutely not. It can get way worse. Or it can get better. And we can do the hard work of still seeing each other as people. And that's kind of why we want to have this conversation. So I'm grateful for our guests here. And Birgit and Julie, they mentioned that back in the late winter into spring, they were holding these meetings in West Bloomfield, trying to revive the Democratic Party. Now, if you're sitting here thinking, well, it's a rural community, it's probably 70 or 80% Republican, it's probably a mostly MAGA community. It's not quite that way. Birgit, I mean, the numbers are a little closer than I thought.
Yeah, back in June when I received the registered voter information, it's 44% Republican conservative, 25% Democrat, and the remaining 31% are either blank, they didn't report a party, independent, or some of the smaller parties.
It's still a big deficit for Democrats, but it maybe not totally insurmountable, and it's not like there's no Democrats in town. Mm-hmm. So tell me what you wanted to do and then kind of what happened that led to this.
So what I'd say maybe 10 years ago, I certainly had the calling to one day step into the public arena and be in politics. In no way would that have been in 2025. But what happened at the beginning of this year was we learned of the openings that were coming, the opening in the town supervisor and 2 board members. Now, 2 years ago, Julie supported a great candidate for town board who lost by 2 votes.
Oh.
So we knew there was possibility.
That was a Democrat?
Yes.
Who lost by 2 votes?
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes. And knowing that, we now had 2 openings and a supervisor opening, we came together with who I'll call our mentors, which would be the longtime West Bloomfield Democrats. Julie and I would be the young ones in the room, okay? And so the longtime Democrats gave us their advice, told us the history of the Democrats being very successful in West Bloomfield as supervisor and on the board. But it had been a long time since there was representation. Now, of course, we should have representation. It's completely possible to have 1-2 seats. So with their guidance, we were able to say, no, this is a bigger question. And we said, we'll find common ground with anybody in this community and see who wants to run. And we'll provide help from the County Board of Elections to tell us how to do that. So that's what Julie and I organized. We brought in the commissioner from the Ontario County Board of Elections to advise us, anybody who wanted to come. And it's the Democrats that paid for that mailing, and mailing is not inexpensive. And we reached out to every resident, and we had over 35 come, and that is large for West Bloomfield.
Yes. It was a really engaging meeting. People were paying attention, asking questions. It was really, really a great night and a very energizing night. And at the end of the night, or within a few days, we realized really no one was going to step into the roles that the reason we created it was
people
called,
are engaged, but you're not getting the candidates.
Yeah, it was called Candidate Curious.
Okay.
and we had curious people, but nobody wanted to run. So after a few days, I was up all night one night thinking, I'm probably going to have to run. And as soon as I woke up in the morning, Birgit sent me a text and said, I think we have to run.
This is how I became the head coach of 2 youth baseball teams. I guess I'm the head coach.
It's the reluctant leader syndrome.
Well, there are times where you look around and go, if no one is going to do this, I guess it's going to be me. Mm-hmm. So you didn't expect to run either.
No, yeah. I did not.
This was not in the plan.
Okay. And then the slate with Tim happens, and maybe I should let Tim talk a little bit about it. You want to just tell us a little bit about what has happened there?
Sure. I've been in town a long time. I've seen a lot of things happen. I've been impacted by a lot of local political things. Not to be too specific, but I said, this is wrong, and I don't feel like I'm getting treated the way a constituent should be treated. I was told one time, straightforward, you don't live here. Okay, I don't live here, but I pay taxes here. I own a business here. I volunteer in the community here. So what? My opinion is mute. I didn't take that nicely. I had the gumption, and when I heard that our town supervisor wasn't going to run again, I said, you know what? It's time. It's time for a few things. So I'm currently a resident in East Bloomfield. So I looked into what was required to run for political office, and I have to become a resident of West Bloomfield. I'm in the process of building a new home in West Bloomfield.
How many miles away?
I am approximately a half a mile over the line.
So this is, I love this allegation that Tim Schiefen is a carpetbagger.
Yeah.
You're half a mile over the line. You've worked here forever. You volunteer. You've been a scout leader, but you're not one of us.
I spend more hours per day in the township of West Bloomfield than 75% of the residents of West Bloomfield.
Who work out of town.
Who work somewhere else,
Yeah.
and my opinion is mute. Right?
You're not one of us. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what they tell you.
Yeah.
So take me through what happens next then.
Again, went in, asked some questions, found out the Republican slate was full. Thought, where does this leave me? The next step was to the County Board of Elections. Lots of questions. Go down, meet with the commissioners, figure out how I get on the independent party line, begin that process. Before that process was even allowed to be begun, I reached out to a friend who is a member of the Democratic Committee in the town and asked him, hey, who are the people in the Democratic Committee here? Got a list of names. I realized everybody on the list of names I'm already well-versed with. We're friends, we're acquainted, they're customers. So I one by one called all of them. Julie was on that list, and I asked them very politely, hey, have you got a minute? I'd like to talk to you. They were probably like, what does my car mechanic want to talk to me about? I took some of their time. I told them my intention, and I asked them, what they thought. And, some were standoffish, some were very welcoming. I attended their meetings. I was invited to come to their first committee meeting, and they started at 7. I was invited at 7:30. So I'm presuming there was a bunch of chit chat. Hey, we got this guy who's got he's interested. Well, what do we do? Blah, blah, blah. Very welcoming. Went in, talked to the members, pitched them, told them what was going on. Got that dreaded question, who'd you vote for president? A little hot seat action. I'm an honest guy. I told him, I bared my soul, told him how I felt, what I thought. I got some eyebrows raised. and so on. So meeting number 2 was with the commissioner. I was one of the few people that stood up with his hand in the air and said, hey, I'm interested in running as town supervisor. Hopefully that broke the ice. Apparently it didn't. But here we got 2 fantastic candidates sitting here in the studio with us that stepped forward, and God bless them. They're wonderful people. Then the caucus came, and 16 out of 21 Democrats voted me in, and I felt very confident that I had some support. And here we are. We're planning, we're strategizing, we're talking, we're developing plans.
And you're running against a Republican.
I am indeed.
Who's your opponent?
Ruth Smith. And she's a very nice lady. She's been a customer of mine as well. I've known her family and her for a long time. I have nothing bad to say about Ruth. She's very pleasant. She's easy to talk to. I wish her the best.
Does she have a position in the party?
She's currently the chairperson of the Republican committee in town, and she's on the town board currently. And if she's not successful in her bid for supervisor, she'll still be on the town board. But, that is what it is, right? And again, I have nothing bad to say about her. I'll say this. I have a whole lot more experience in regards to being an employer, a leader, a member of the community. I have a 25-year track record right in this township of West Bloomfield of stepping up to the plate, doing things, volunteering, helping out. Tomorrow I MC the Ionia Vintage Tractor Parade at the Ionia Fall Festival. Give a plug out for there. We have over 100 antique tractors.
At 1 p.m. on Saturday, September 20th. Go.
And that's how we expect to work right there, Evan. We contribute. We don't overtalk each other. I treat these wonderful ladies with respect. They deserve every ounce of that, and that's how we're gonna run the future if we're all successful. Same way, respect, some kindness.
Did you think the Democrats would give you this respect?
Yeah, I honestly did, because when I saw the names on the list, and I got a list from the Board of Elections, much like Birgit did, there were so many familiar names on that list. These are people I see all the time. There's people in the Historical Society. There are people in the Scout program. There are people that come in my door.
Your customers.
Absolutely. And
you've changed their oil.
I've changed their oil. And something, I don't want to beat my chest about this. 90% of my customers just say, fix it. You don't have to call me. Just fix it. I trust you. And it's because we have that relationship. And I want to say it's because I hopefully have never let them down. And going forward, that's my commitment to this town. I will put every effort forward to do the best job possible, and I will never let anybody down. And these 2 ladies, I will have their back at every moment that we work together and beyond.
Have you lost any customers because Democrats said, wait a second, my auto mechanic is a Trump voter and I'm a Democrat?
If I have, I'm not aware of that. I'm sure I've lost customers over the year for a variety of reasons, but the funny part is they don't tell you. They don't come back and say, the wheel fell off
Here's
my
why
car.
I'm not coming back.
I'm never coming back there again.
Is it typical? I'm going to ask an ignorant question about small town politics. Is it typical for the heads of political committees to be sort of anointed the candidate for the top spot? And is there a process that allows for either a primary or a challenge or sort of evaluation? And maybe that happened here. I don't know. I'm not making any allegations. I don't know Ruth. And Ruth, you'd be welcome to come on and talk to us here if you want. But I don't know what the process typically is.
All I can say is that in Ontario County, the Democratic Party uses a caucus. The Republican Party does have a primary. And
with petitions.
So I am not versed in the petition process for the Republican Party primary.
Yeah, and part of that story, our understanding is that the West Bloomfield Republican Party met without the knowledge of the current board or the current supervisor, and decided that Ruth was going to be the candidate and certain people were going to be nominated for the town board. So that was sort of I think that was part of the opening for us to say, what's going on in West Bloomfield, and let's try to get involved, because there may be some opportunities for other voices.
It's also my understanding that other West Bloomfield Republicans, and Tim, I would think you would have been on that distribution list, were not reached out or contacted before this decision was made.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at. There was no advanced knowledge for us to know that they were in a process of choosing or looking for candidates. And by the time their choices were made, the door had closed for my opportunity to say, hey, I'm interested. And I may not have been considered because my residency is in East Bloomfield. So I'll give them that. I don't think it was a callous decision. I think the fact is they didn't consider me because they figured, oh, he doesn't live in this town. Who cares?
Well, I do have an email from the Democrat who nominated Tim. This is from Hannah. Hannah Schiefen, who says, like my father, I'm emailing you during my workday. And she says, I'd like to add that I am a registered Democrat and a very left-leaning voter, but it's Republicans like my dad that make it possible for me to see that we can all work together to make change and achieve a sense of community.
Gotta love that kid, huh?
Good job, man.
Oh,
Nice job, Hannah.
She's wonderful. Thank you, Hannah.
Well, I'm saying good job to Tim as a dad, and your parents did well, but Hannah is an adult in her own right. And Hannah, there's something really important and beautiful in that sentiment. And I know you're proud of your dad, but I also know that a lot of families splinter over stuff like this. So kudos to you for holding together. So let me also say on the flip side of that coin, Ingrid called in from Penfield, I think, and she wants me to know she's no longer going to listen to Connections. She is tired of my kumbaya attitude, and the country is coming apart, and I need to be more aware of that. I am aware that things are not great. I mean, there's no question. We're going to be talking about a lot of really hard things in the days and weeks to come. And we do all the time. I feel like we do all the time. I think you can talk about those hard things while also recognizing some of the poison that has led us to view each other with such suspicion. And my view is that we are spending less time together as people and community. So this is an editorial statement, but it is my view that what you are hearing on the program today, vote however you want, whether you live in Bloomfield or this is happening in your town, vote however you want. But ask yourself if you want to take the temperature down and if you think it's possible. Because I think it can get worse. I don't buy that this is the worst it can be. It can get way worse, and I don't want to be there. I want to take the temperature down. But I don't know, Birgit. I mean,
I'm going to take
did
the
you ever
temperature.
think you'd be on the show
No.
when people would say, that's it? We'll never listen to Connect. And, which is, by the way, that's Ingrid's right.
It
She's
is
not even
right.
listening right now.
But I can't take the national temperature down, but I can assist at least in bringing our West Bloomfield town temperature down if we can. So I'm going to do what I can.
This is where it starts at the town level. We need to remind everybody that this nation was formed by people just like this, coming together, sharing ideas, putting their differences aside, right? I'll defend to my death your right to disagree with me. Ring a bell, right?
Absolutely.
So-
No, I mean, I'm with you there. I think, Birgit, part of what a listener like Ingrid is saying, I think part of what is turning some people off is the concern that you as a Democrat running with Tim, who's a Republican, who's voted for things that you don't agree with, you're sacrificing your values in some way.
So I have had to come to terms with that, and I've decided that I can't be a purist and move things forward. So for me to move things forward in this political climate, I will have to latch on to the positives, what I believe in, what I know that we can work together on. And if that proportion of, positive is enough for me, I'm going to move forward. But I can't be a purist.
Julie, you want to weigh in on
I
Ingrid's
do.
point there?
I do. I mean, I think agreeing to work together doesn't mean that we abandon our values and that we can't talk about that when that comes up. And, I just think that one of the major things that the Democratic Party, the messages has been, do something, run for something, get involved. And I think that the three of us, none of us has been in politics, but if we can balance each other and provide input in our town that's positive, collaborative, compassionate, that's what I want to do.
Well, and I'll close with this. Rick emails to say, Evan, thank you for hosting this conversation among folks who are different in political terms. My question is, if entering local politics is the gateway to statewide and national politics, how do these folks manage that expectation? Rick, I'm not going to speak for them. I'd be very surprised if they're sitting here thinking the next step is state or national politics. And I hear Rick's point, but I think what I'm hearing this hour are people who, if they're going to do it at all, and 2 of the 3 guests really kind of just got pulled into this, that they're staying local. Yes, Julie?
Yeah, well, my joke with my kids is Nancy Pelosi started when she was.
Oh, man. See there? Maybe Rick's onto something.
But that's my joke.
It's just a joke.
It's just a joke.
That's not your path.
No.
Okay. Tim?
Oh, I'm hanging out around town for quite some time.
Birgit, what about you?
You never know what the future brings, but I'd like to call on those that have been in town politics to maybe take their next step to state politics. You know, I'm entering with my first foot in the door here, but I'd call on the others to move forward.
Well, we will check back. And I'll say again here, this program is open. Tim reached out, as he often does, and I was really glad he did. I was very interested in what's happening here. But their opponents are welcome on this program. They want to come in and talk about why they have different views of things. That's fine. It's an open program. And post-November, let's all talk again and see how it goes, right? Let's see where you are.
Absolutely.
Because this is still rather unusual, and it's a pretty daring thing. And let's see where it goes. I want to thank our guests and Birgit Coffey, candidate for West Bloomfield Town Council. Thank you for making time for us.
Thanks for having me.
Julie Evely, the other Democrat in the room, candidate for West Bloomfield Town Council. Thanks for being here.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Tim Schiefen, the Republican, running on the Democratic line, running also on the Common Sense Party line.
That's correct. Independent.
Candidate for West Bloomfield Supervisor. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for letting me be able to say I'm proud of both my kids, and I love them both.
Oh, see, it was Hannah who emailed. But hey.
But Hannah's great. She's awesome, isn't she?
I'm with you there. Can't pick favorites here. Great conversation here. More connections coming up in just a moment.
This program is a production of WXXI Public Radio. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of this station, its staff, management, or underwriters. The broadcast is meant for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or use in another medium without expressed written consent of WXXI is strictly prohibited. Connections with Evan Dawson is available as a podcast. Just click on the Connections link at WXXInews.org.